Happy tagging season in the NFL. It is underway officially today. These are some notable players who could receive the franchise tag, and a bunch of them have already been tagged. A couple of them on one team. Now, Shaq Barrett was the one that was tagged last season. Chris Godwin could get the tag this season from the world champs. What about Allen Robinson? He's our number one ranked wide receiver, potential free agent wide receivers on CBSSports.com. And, you know, there are a ton of great potential free agents at the wideout position. Very deep class this year. So let's get the latest from our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, and let's start with our number one ranked receiver. What are the chances the Bears use the franchise tag on Allen Robinson?
Yeah, I think the chances, Chris, are very good that they're going to use the tag on Allen Robinson. I do not anticipate whatsoever Allen Robinson becoming a free agent in mid-March. Now, does that mean that he's going to play the 2021 season under the franchise tag? No, I don't believe so. And frankly, he's really tired of the franchise tag. So I could see him certainly dragging this out a little bit, them certainly waiting until mid-July to figure out a deal. But frankly, neither side should want that. The Chicago Bears, led by GM Ryan Pace, really on his last legs there in Chicago, if things don't get turned around, he should realize that he has a top-flight wide receiver in Allen Robinson. And sure, it's going to cost about $18 million this year, but this is a guy who in the past two seasons is averaging 100 catches per season, 1,200 yards in those years. And then you consider who's been throwing him the football really throughout his entire career. You can go back to Blake Bortles and that cast of characters in Jacksonville, but certainly what he has done this past season with Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles. He deserves to be top 5 wide receiver money. That is around $20 million per year. And so that's going to get him in that Keenan Allen conversation, a touch above Michael Thomas. That's the going rate, and that's frankly what he deserves. So will the Bears ultimately give him that? I don't know. I thought that they should have paid him last year, and he played the way that he did last year. The price is just going to keep going up if they decide to kick this can down the road, but I would anticipate very much a tag for Allen Robinson, and hopefully for his sake and for the long-term sake of the Chicago Bears, they can agree to a long-term deal, the two sides, by mid-July.
We've got Robinson number one, Chris Godwin number two on our potential free agent wide receivers. I think some people would want to flip those, but you know, the Super Bowl champions, they also have decisions to make on Godwin, but not just on that side of the ball, Shaq Barrett as well. And I know you have some new information on that situation, so lay it on us.
Yeah, listen, I personally, seeing what just happened in the Super Bowl and Patrick Mahomes scrambling around for 500 yards before he could throw the football, I would tag Shaq Barrett. I would try to keep that defense intact as much as possible. You figured out the code to breaking the Kansas City Chiefs. But my personal feelings aside, what I'm told, and certainly the tide is in the favor of tagging Chris Godwin, and he would cost around $16 million. With the tag, Shaq Barrett would be a little bit more expensive there, around $19 to $20 million, because he just played on the tag last season, as the graphic earlier showed. So you have that, as well as the fact that Chris Godwin, this is no shade or offense or any really, frankly, commentary on Shaq Barrett, but Chris Godwin is beloved in that locker room. He's one of the toughest guys on the team, type of guys, a guy who injured his thumb, had surgery, had pins inserted in his hand, and then played later on that week. And so guys in the locker room love him. Tom Brady loves him, wants to keep him around. So I would certainly anticipate between those two that Chris Godwin is tagged. That doesn't necessarily mean that Shaq Barrett won't find a deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but if he's looking to get paid, as he has said, wanting to break the bank, he's not going to be breaking the bank in Tampa. There's just simply no cap space, no money for him to break the bank with this championship roster. And frankly, listen, that's his decision, very well his right. He's tired of playing on the tag and doesn't feel like he should take a hometown discount. But if he does, I wouldn't rule out Tampa being a contender for him. Just somebody can come over the top and pay him a whole lot more money than Tampa will ultimately be able to.
All right, elsewhere in the NFC South, let's talk about the Carolina Panthers and tell us what you're hearing about potentially tagging right tackle Taylor Moton.
Yeah, I mean, the tag, if they can't get to an agreement by March the 9th, the tag is absolutely going to be slapped on right tackle Taylor Moton. This is a guy who played 1,000 snaps last season and just allowed 3 sacks, only had 2 penalties on the year. And when you take into account that they're probably going to let left tackle Russell Okung walk in free agency, you look at the guard positions, and they really need to upgrade at the guard position. They just converted a lot of Matt Paradis, the center, his base salary into a signing bonus, so he's sticking around. He's really the only starting offensive lineman under contract for 2021. The Carolina Panthers also, they need to find a new quarterback. They're not going to go into the 2021 season with Teddy Bridgewater as their starter. They've made that extremely clear that that will be the case. Now, whether they land Deshaun Watson, and they are going to do everything that they possibly can to get Deshaun Watson, that interest is extremely real, as we all have been reporting now for more than a month. If you're going to get Deshaun Watson or another quarterback that's not Teddy Bridgewater, you still need to have some protection up front. That is why they are absolutely going to keep Taylor Moton. Do not put him on your free agents to be list. He will not be a free agent. Whether or not he plays on the tag or they strike a long-term deal, that is certainly to be determined. But Taylor Moton, if they can't get a deal by March 9th, with 100% certainty, will be tagged by the Carolina Panthers.
All right, as we talked about, there are several players who could get tagged for a second season in a row. It could be Shaq Barrett, could be Dak Prescott. How about Justin Simmons, the safety for the Broncos? What are they planning to do with him?
Yeah, again, same deal as, Taylor Moton with the Carolina Panthers. Justin Simmons is going to be tagged, and he played at around $11 million last year. He's going to go up in the tag to about $13 million on that tag this year, but it's going to happen. He's one of the best safeties in the league. The Denver Broncos absolutely love what he does out there for him, and you really look at these stats and what he's been able to do. He's been an Iron Man the last couple of years, not even taking a snap off, and he led the team in picks last year. So, yeah, listen, they still have to decide what they're going to do with Von Miller's option at around $22 million. They still have to upgrade at the quarterback position. They did this dance with Justin Simmons last year, and they couldn't reach an agreement, and he played under the tag. So at least there has to be some framework that has been installed there in Denver. Obviously, new GM George Payton is going to be working with Justin Simmons' representation to figure out what it's going to cost, but you should be looking at top of the market safety deal for Justin Simmons there in Denver if they can reach that agreement, which I'm not sure it's going to happen anytime soon.
We're sitting here February the 23rd, first day that teams can start to tag, but deadline isn't until March 9th to tag, and you still don't know the official salary cap. So do you think we're going to sit here for a while before the tags start being slapped on these guys?
Yeah, frankly, there's no need to slap a tag on someone today or tomorrow. And, Chris, if you do it today or tomorrow, you're really more sending a message to that player and their representation. We're at a stalemate. We're going to tag you no matter what. We don't care what the cap is. You're ours, and you can't do anything about it. And it's an unfortunate part of the business, if I can editorialize for a moment. But that is what the business is, and that's the CBA, and that's what the players agreed to by a slim margin last year without any adjustments to the franchise tag. So there's really, again, no reason to do it right now unless you're trying to send that message. I would anticipate, even if we see a few tags in the next couple of days, really the majority of tags will be happening in that first week of March as you get closer to the deadline, because, of course, any sort of deadline spurs action. So that's what we're probably going to see once we get to March 7th, 8th, 9th.
Steelers, as you see, they're tagged Bud Dupree last season. They've got major cap issues moving into this offseason, especially if they can't rework that Big Ben deal. It's going to be $41 million against the cap as it stands right now. But you wrote an article on CBSSports.com about how they could just offer someone a simple extension, that someone being cornerback Steven Nelson, and that would really help them out. How is that?
Yeah, this is a guy who 2 years ago signed a 3-year, $25.5 million contract and has absolutely played up to it. You don't hear much about him, in the national conversation, and obviously he plays opposite Joe Hayden, a guy who is beloved across the NFL, certainly has a bigger name and a 3-time Pro Bowler, but he stacks up very favorably to what Joe Hayden has done in the last couple of years stacks up favorably, frankly, to what a number of corners have done. And I'm not going to sit here and act like he is throw him out there on an island. He's the top corner in the NFL. But at 28 years old, and he just turned 28, he has the potential to be that in the next couple of years. And if the Steelers want to keep him on the roster and not have to deal with this when he hits unrestricted free agency next year, they could say, listen, you've played up to and beyond your contract in the first 2 years. Let's go ahead and extend you right now. The market, yeah, it's gone up a little bit with Jalen Ramsey going up to $20 million. So you're going to have to pay Steven Nelson a pretty penny, somewhere in the low teens probably. And so, yeah, that's going to, a lot of people would say, wait, don't the Steelers need to save money? Well, you can, because you can get his cap hit in 2021 down from where it is right now, about $14 million. With an extension, you can get that down and save $5, $6, $7, maybe even $8 million against the cap. Every little bit is going to help, especially where the Steelers right now are looking at cutting tight end Eric Ebron or Vince Williams. And you got to make some room if you bring back Alejandro Villanueva at left tackle. Any number of moves they still have to figure out, so they need some cap wiggle room, regardless of what they're doing with Ben Roethlisberger, and that is chief among everything, no doubt about it, but you still need cap room beyond that. And, that's just one. Steven Nelson, David DeCastro, the 31-year-old guard there, that they could extend players like that and get some cap relief that could help them out as they make these decisions in the next couple of weeks.
All right, Jonathan Jones, our senior NFL insider, keeping us up to date here on the day the teams can start tagging players in the NFL. Looking ahead at some key dates this offseason, you've got that window which began today and ends March the 9th for franchise tagging. The official start of the new league year is March the 17th. That's when free agency begins. And then the workout programs begin in the offseason, April the 19th. The draft, April the 29th.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.